one production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.
Online, eBay and ourselves. 120. All right, it's 2 o'clock, so we're going to get started with our SAC meeting for today. What we're going to do is that I'm going to ask Jean to do some administrative type announcements, and then Norm is going to be presenting a presentation for us that's already up and ready to go. Norm isn't exactly sure how long it's taking, but we are going to ask that you maybe write down any questions or notes that you have, but allow him to get through the whole presentation kind of in its entirety before we go into a discussion about it, okay? So we're just going to do him the courtesy of allowing him to get right through it. Just get your pencils out and be prepared to take notes of anything that you would like to, follow-up questions for him. And I think that's it. Jean.
Use the microphone.
Oh.
Some people
Hi.
Turn it on.
It helps to turn it on. Is it on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Finally.
Well, this is Jean, and I'm here to do the administration. Oh, I'm here to do. Thank you. Don't put this on the
I did
tape.
vote for you, Fitting with it.
I don't know if I can do two things at the same time.
We know that.
Okay.
You don't have gum, do you?
All right, wait a minute.
That's what they have the players.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the
Hi,
SAC
Jean.
committee. Please silence your phones. I'll try to remember to tell you to turn them back on later. Please try to keep noise down in between because it's very hard. I don't know if we have anyone online, but it's very hard to hear when you're online. When I'm finished making my 2 more comments, I would like the committee to introduce itself and mention whether you're a member or an alternate. And then if there are any alternates in this section, if they would let us know. Because we want to see your faces. Let the committee answer the questions first. If there's time at the end, we will turn to the guests and hopefully they might have a few questions as well. There'll be a test at the end. Thank you.
I've got a question for you, sir. You have the Zoom meeting now?
Okay, we've been at this now for
Too long.
from May till now, and what I would like to try to do today is take a little different approach and see if we can't emphasize some of the commonalities we have instead of the differences we have. Not sure it's going to work, but I think it's worth a try because at some point in time we got to get off this horse. And you're going. Okay, Jean wanted you to introduce yourselves, so.
You want to start here?
Lana Williams,
Who do you represent?
dancing, social dancing.
Susan Chatterjee, I represent Neighbors of Mission.
No, okay.
I was going to take it to second row just
Just pass it back.
Sue Danielson, Mini Golf.
Bruce Halverson, Sundown Innsbruck.
Dave Clausen, tennis.
Bill Loss, slow player.
That was a stage whisper.
of Karen McAdam, one of the co-chairs from the RCSC board.
Paul Higgins, member.
Anita Forsky, member at large.
Dan Hatterman, pickleball.
Scott Harrington, water volleyball, Oakmont.
Tad Daughters, alternate for players.
Okay. I lost my mic.
James, she's still finding people.
Chad Chatterjee, alternate for my wife Susan over there.
I'm here, so.
All right,
You're
here.
the alternate.
That's fine.
Okay, we all set with the formalities? Okay.
Ready for next one?
Yep, just one at a time. This is opening day. Take a look at all the cars. It was a very successful opening day. These things here were apartments people could stay if they were interested in purchasing. That's King's Inn. And of course you got Grand Avenue there. Next. And the difference between Del Webb and the swamp sellers down in Florida is they sold you swamp and then skipped out with your money. Del Webb put in the golf course. So you knew what you were going to get. He put in the center. He had a shopping center and he had the 5 model homes. So there was no doubt that you were going to get something if you bought a lot here. And that was the change. Next. This is Lakeview, under construction. Just want to show you that we've got a long history here, and we now are part of it. And it's bigger than us, it's bigger than any of our activities. Okay. Don't know whether you know it, but we had a nice big stadium where the national baseball team, softball teams used to play down at 111th and Grand. Yeah. And that went in the way of the coast, okay? They're selling homes so fast, that's your bank.
Wow.
Does that bank exist anymore?
Yeah, it's still there. Next one. And this is just to let you know what people were doing back in the 1960s. Next. Most of you haven't seen that slide.
Yeah.
Lakes Club. Whole time it was going to open, it burned down. We tried to buy the Lakes Club afterwards, before CORE got in there, but I think our PIF fund was $700 or something. So we couldn't swing it. Next one. That's the hospital going up, so that we had good medical facilities from the beginning. Now this is Sun Bowl, and you may have seen this picture before, but I want to point out to you, look at those houses out there.
Yeah.
That's all phase 1, and it's as far as the eye can see. And that went up in a pretty short period of time. Of course, the whole place is packed. They used to bring in national stars because of Walt Disney and Del Webb's contact.
That's actually the Lawrence Welk show.
That's Lawrence Welk. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. Next one.
They're old enough to.
Okay, they're going in one at a time. I try to live by a philosophy, and it's different than most. The first one is from the Socratic Oath, first, do no harm. Very simple, but if you think about it, first goal, you do no harm, now you're on a good path. And the second one is, always leave a place better than you found it. Not hard to do in our lives, but a lot of times overlooked. Okay. We have some advantages. Sun City is old. All of the new communities have all the shiny facilities, new houses, new recreation centers, high-tech stuff. And what do we have? A 64-year-old community. Old centers, old houses. It's not an even fight. But we have to attract new people, or we don't sell homes. We don't sell homes, we don't get the PIF, whatever amount it is. If we don't get the PIF, we don't have to serve on committees like this because we won't have any money to do anything. It's that simple. So what advantages do we have? I've gone through these before, but assuming that people our age are not good at retaining things. First one, we have a low annual cost. It's the lowest in not in the state, in the country. And when you combine that with the fact that we have an abundance of activities, and it's run by volunteers that may or may not have a business background, it's amazing that we're still here after 64 years. But it is also a curse, and we know that. You know, people don't want to get raises. Okay, number 2. Most member activities for our size. I know someone's going to bring up the villages in Florida, which is a humongous operation. But if you look at how many people we have, how many clubs we have, how many outdoor activities we have, we've got a tremendous amount. And remember, we're paying the lowest fee in the country. And that's got to stop. Sorry to bring that up, but that's got to stop. Okay, next one. Convenient neighborhood centers. This one is overlooked a lot. It doesn't involve money. Again, this is a curse and a blessing. But the blessing is that we've got nice little places that we can go to, close to the home. Curse is we got to support them. We got to pay for their upkeep. But the unthought of often is that you have choices. If I want to go do exercise and Bill Pearson is there, I may not get along with Bill Pearson. And so I don't want to go there and get in a bad mood every time I see him. I can go to another center where the people are a lot more friendly.
Don't they don't?
And you can't put a price on that. You know, that gives you a whole lot more quality of life, and it's not really a money thing. Okay, next one. As far as I know, we're the only retirement community that has a good-sized lake. And I want to tell you, for 64 years, we've done one heck of a job hiding it. Del Webb, in his wisdom, put a circle there for a center, which means only one little portion of the circle can see the lake. And it's my hope that at some point in the future, near future, we can put a center up there that's going to see the whole lake. It's going to use the two things that you don't get in a desert, and that is grass and water. And we can make that center the best one in Arizona, not just in the valley, but in Arizona, if we don't mess it up. Next one. And the other one unthought of is a sun bowl. Now, if you want to talk about a waste of space, you had 5 or 6 shows there, and that's it. But, again, it's quality of life. You get to go there in the evening, a nice cool evening, sit there, bring your refreshments, nibbles, and listen to good music under the setting sun. Again, can't put a price on it. New communities can't match these things because it's too darn expensive for it to do it now. We've got them in place. Next one. And it seems logical to me that when you have an advantage over all the other communities, it's our responsibility to strengthen those advantages, not weaken them. Okay. Now, I went through and took a look at what we've done in discussions at Mountain View. And these are all open for argument because I'm old enough to plead poor memory and disorganization. But fitness, we're going to increase that. We don't know how much we're going to increase it, but we want to increase the fitness area.
And fitness is one of the big activities in Sun City, just like all the pools are a big activity. A lot of people go to that. Horseshoe stays the same, mini golf stays the same. Pickleball is going to be increased. Not as much as pickleball would like. Maybe it will be, I don't know. But it's going to be increased. Pools are going to be increased for all the pool activities. The spa is going to go to an outdoor spa. If you look at the attendance figures, the indoor spas have much fewer people going to them than the outdoor spas. And so that again is going to increase. Tennis, sorry Dave, you agreed to give that up, but that'll be eliminated. Lawn bowling stays the same. Theater, I know we kicked that number around. Bill, you got a ballpark figure? How much audience and theater people?
Per year? Usually 1,500 to 2,000.
For the year? Okay. So you could add 2,000 to the total I've got down there. But what that means is even though we've got a lot of disagreements on the committee, and some of them have been quite emotional, we're looking at improving things for 53,000 people. Now you can enlarge this figure if you want, because all of those increases actually work to the benefit of everybody who uses those facilities, because it's spreading out the crowding. It's making it available at another location. So I think this is fairly accurate, and I may have left something out, and you can point that out to me at the end. But despite all of our confrontations and differences, we have, I think, gotten to this point where if we just stop right now, we're going to make life better for over 50,000 residents. That's nothing to be ashamed of. And if you think we're going to get a perfect solution out of this committee, you got to stop smoking that stuff. Because we're not going to get a perfect solution. And I've said that since the beginning. Nobody is going to get everything they want. That just isn't the way it works. Okay. I think there's some other recommendations that we can make, and these are going to be new to you, but I'd like to throw them out for discussion, and these are positive recommendations. We can recommend that on that list there, that we increase those activities that we would like to increase, and the one elimination would be the tennis. I think that would be one of our recommendations. Next one. We can also recommend that this work is not done. We may be done with it, but if they're going to have 2 pools instead of 1, then let the people, the architect and the board, work with the people who are working the pools. Scott and whoever else is interested in the pool, they're the experts on the pools. Same thing with the other increases that we're doing. Fitness center, you're going to have to, I don't know, that's not a club, but the other ones you can always have another smaller group that advises the board of directors or the architect, because this is what we really want on the ground, because those are the people who understand their activity. I can't tell you what the pool needs, I can't tell you what pickleball needs, but they can. And so it isn't like we're just doing it. Now we pass the ball off to a smaller committee that knows what they're doing. Next one. And also recommend, because there's a lot of concern about this, that the PIF monies be earmarked for this project, separating it from being used for other projects. There's no sense us spending all this time if somebody decides that we're going to spend this on golf or something else. So put this money aside and have it there for when we actually start the project. Next one. Time is of the essence, and I think all avenues ought to be utilized to finish this project in the most expeditious manner. It's already taken way too long, and COVID is part of that issue, but the other part is we went down the wrong road for a while. Hopefully we're on the right road. Next. Recommend that dance, water volleyball, and pickleball still need to get some help. Regardless of what we come out recommending, they're still going to need some more help. So let's put this on the table so that the board is aware of it, the public's aware of it, that we're not done. We're done as a committee, I hope, but there's still things to do. There will always be things to do here in Sun City. Okay.
I'm sorry.
And you can read that. Set aside our differences and agree on our accomplishments. We can wordsmith the recommendations so everybody's happy with them. And I think we then could conclude our task and be confident that we did no harm and we left Mountain View better than we found it. Questions, comments, whatever.
Please use the microphone.
We only have one mic.
My first reaction is thank you very much, and you did a good job of presenting, I think, a good presentation of our purpose and what we've done. I did have a couple of questions. First of all, a comment. In the presentation of advantages, your number 3 was convenient neighborhood centers. I want to emphasize I totally agree with that. I think that's really one of the selling points of Sun City is to have multiple locations to do things. Going back, if you could move back in the slides, there was one part of one of your recommendations that you didn't speak to. Stop. Not so far. Okay, keep going. I mean, you went. It's the 4th one. Okay. It's actually the 3rd. You indicated here, must reconvene a committee of all affected activities before a final decision on money use is reached. I'm not sure what we're talking about here.
What I'm talking about there is usually people are telling me to be quiet, not just use the microphone.
Oh, good, we got another one.
We got another live mic. Okay, what I'm talking about there is I'm looking for some sort of procedure by the board that when you get into these big projects, you utilize the membership and not have the board, in all good intentions. I've been on the board. I know what goes on in there. And with all the best intentions of the world, 9 people cannot know everything about every activity out there. So what I'm saying is if they want to change that money allocation, they come back and form another committee, maybe not us, but a committee that recommends all the affected areas and have them examine it and go through it and give some advice to them rather than the 9-member board making the decision. Again, I've been here a long time. I've seen some very good boards, and I've seen some other boards that weren't so good. And I think the governing, the keel on this ship is the membership. They're out there knowing what they know to make their activity good. And they should be the ones that are being consulted when a big change is coming. That was my point on that. Okay, you got a mic? Yeah.
To that point, I had the same kind of thought. However, the last thing the architect needs is to be dealing with like 7 different committees who all have their own point of view, one-on-one. It would, like 4 years from now, they'd still be going back and forth. And of course, this is kind of outside of our purview. This is something that the board would consider and decide how to best deal with it. But to me, the best way to deal with it would be to go to each committee that would be involved like pickleball, etc., and have them create a list that could be handed to the architect of their biggest wish list or their requirements. Then all lists could be handed to the architect at the same time, right before design stage. And then the architect can do a design using that information, and then it can be revisited after design. And it's so much faster than creating committees and yada yada, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a slow process, but it is. In the case of Fairway, every club at Fairway designed their new room at Fairway. And that didn't slow down the process. That got put up, 94,000 square feet got put up in relative hurry. So it can be done fast, but the idea is not to have someone who doesn't understand the activity design the activity. It's going to mess it up. Have somebody who's familiar with it say, yes, this will work, and no, it won't.
As long as each of those committees has a set amount of money they can work with and not go crazy and spend a whole lot more money. Because if you give them a blank slate, that is wrong. You have to control, they have to have a set amount that is established. You get this many, you get this much money, you do with that what you can. No more money.
Yeah, that was a given, and in someplace I put in there that the board would operate within the recommendations that this committee comes up with, whatever they are. You need a mic?
Yeah. Well, who decides what slice of the pie each activity gets? How much money does fitness get? How much money does pickleball get?
Yeah.
How much money does the theater get?
Well, number one, we've got basically a ballpark figure of what the overall cost is going to be. That the board works out with the architect.
But right now, the theater takes over 50% of the money. That just doesn't seem fair to me.
Well, okay, that's your opinion, and that's good.
Good, they should.
I think you did a good job. Thank you. Just a couple of things I picked up on that you mentioned. One is that we need to leave this place better than we found it. So I hope this committee takes that to heart, that we need to leave this better than we found it. And the way some of us found it is from things being done the way they were 50 years ago. And I think the people that are retiring now and the activities that people are doing have changed. And I think we should try and accommodate those changes. I also, the convenient neighborhood centers, I agree with that they are very dated. I hope we can figure out a way to kind of modernize and again, I sure hope so. Get those kind of not quite so, again, so they don't look like they're from the 1950s. And then you mentioned that life better for that we need to look into trying to make life better for over 50,000 people. I hope too that this committee would be interested in trying to figure out ways to make this community better for new retirees, for people that are looking for a place to move, people looking for a place to go, people looking for activities that are relevant and current to what's happening right now. And you know, if you don't offer the activities, there are retirement communities that have taken advantage of some of the activities that are popular right now. And that's where they're going to move if we don't stay with the trends that are happening.
It is clear that life changes as decades go on, things change. I like the advantages you presented. I think we need to take advantage of focusing and improving those advantages at the same time to market our community to the younger generation Increase pickleball? Yeah, absolutely. Increase the wow factor of other facilities. Improve the maintenance of some of those that, I don't know exactly how the annual budget and capital budget work, but I do know that there are facility elements that I find that are just not maintained. Mini golf is just a tragic example. The Lakeview tennis courts and the Mountain View and the pickleball courts is another example of not maintaining what we have. And then I think we've done a great job as a community in promoting, and the history is a great selling point. The first senior community in the nation and the original, fun city. I think all of that is still applicable. So how do we market that? I think in our electronic age, in our websites and all of that, what we have, we can do a better job at that, because I know I'm very pleased to see that the Sun City tennis facility, when you see that on the website, it just pops out. It's like, wow, that is a starship for a tennis facility. I don't see that same kind of thing for the pickleball. I wish I did, because I think that's what we need to do. If we want to attract, people that are younger and want to play pickleball, then we need to show that on the websites with people that are playing pickleball energetically. I watched them today, and they were moving very slowly. And that's not that's not the positive view that we want to see.
What you may or may not be aware of is that the Long Range Planning Committee did a very thorough study before COVID, and so maybe it's getting dated now, but there are big changes coming in the next generation. The statistics show that the amount of savings that the young people are going to have are not as great as the amount of savings that we came in with. The pensions are going to be lower. Social Security is going to be clicking in at a different age. So the reality of the situation is that we're going to have a whole lot of people here that are working either full-time or part-time to make ends meet. That means we can't close the clubs at 3 o'clock in the afternoon because they don't get home till 5. And they want to do something, so they're going to have to be open till 9, 10, 11 o'clock. That's going to change, a big change for all the clubs, big change for all the activities. We know this is coming. Long Range Planning has done their homework. And one of the things I would like to see, which again is outside of our purview, we ought to have the Budget and Finance Committee, Long Range Planning, maybe some other ones in there, meeting together and exchanging it, because they're each seeing this community from a different angle, from a different perspective. And if we put them together, we're going to get better answers and better solutions. Budget and Finance Committee has been working all summer, just like we have, and they're making some serious changes. And I want to commend the board that we have now for making all of this possible, because for the last 16, 17 years, the membership has not been involved much in the decisions. This is a big change, and we're going to have bumps and problems, but overall, I'm all in favor of this. You got to tell me to keep quiet once in a while.
Good job.
Other comments? Now, my idea is, you go back to the 3 slides back.
Keep going.
No, I'm sorry, you gotta go forward. You gotta go forward. When you, yeah, right there, go back to that one. If you agree that this is what we've done, now we're not talking about how much in the way of increase, but we're talking about increase. okay? Either increased or left alone. Those are the two basic areas. This, I think we can say, is the accomplishment of this committee. Now, you can talk about wanting a third pool or wanting 10 more pickleball courts or whatever, but I think that's beyond our purview. I think that's where they would work with the pickleball afterwards and see how much they can fit in it. Well, what I think we're saying, and we should probably ask this question first, does the theater go at Mountain View, or do we try to find another place for it?
We already voted and we voted that last week.
I think we have voted.
Okay. Okay, I just don't want to assume things and have arrows and spears thrown at me. So if we assume that the theater is going to Mountain View, if we like in general what the architect has shown us, I'm not talking specifics, you know, those two pickleball courts over on the side, that doesn't make any sense at all. To me, the big flat area surrounding the pool can be used a whole lot better for something else. But if that drawing is, if you're not 100% against that drawing,
Yeah, that's a general idea. It wasn't a complete.
we can say that we want to make these increases in these activities. We think the theaters or performing arts center, everybody changes my vocabulary. At 85, I can't keep up with it. Is going to be at Mountain View. And now the limitations are there. You've got 6.5 acres, and you've got these things that are going to be there. What we don't know is how much the increase is going to be. But I think if we can say that as a committee, we've accomplished a lot. It's a whole lot better than the plan the board was talking about before, where we're going to knock everything down and start over, and you know.
We can't afford that.
And I'd be 95 before it was done. We're not recommending that. And so we are recommending something better. Is it defined as much as some people want? No, but I don't think that's our job.
Our job is to make a recommendation to the board.
The board asked us, formed this committee and asked us to give them the direction. I think this, along with the location of the PAC, is a whole lot of direction for the board. I think they can operate within those.
I think we made the decision that the PAC stay at Mountain View. We didn't realize it was going to be $13.1 million to refurbish that auditorium.
Okay, again, I'm not sure that's our purview. The board is the one that has to wrestle with that. But I remember discussions that if we could get a PAC for $11, $12 million, we'd be happy. And that was in the beginning of this committee. So, go ahead.
I think I'd like to talk a little bit about the PAC too, because we voted for PAC at Mountain View based on a renovation that would wow and it would satisfy the PAC, the Players Club, and others.
And we could be proud of.
And we could be proud of, yeah, absolutely, something that we can advertise and bring people in. So I think our recommendation needs to be a little bit more specific, at least for the PAC. And I think we should go at least, in pickleball, we should at least say increased to at least whatever number that is.
12 or 15?
Well, okay.
They've already increased it to 17. It's increased to 17, so currently.
But that does not say 17.
I know, but the last plan he's talking about, it increased it to 17. Yes.
Yeah, well, there's some measurement differences there, but they would have to be worked out.
But that's
But again,
John.
we can't dig in the weeds because none of us have enough experience and knowledge about these things.
I think, in my view, we can have a vote of opinion and desire for such and such, a little more specific than this. And then we can have a vote of consensus. We live with, in the case of theater, I think, yes, renovated, wow. My guess is that everybody here, without, not necessarily vote for it here, but a vote of, can we live with the decision of this committee to recommend to the board to have the players, the new players, PAC, performing, what do you call it?
Performing arts.
Performing arts.
For players.
So I think that, yeah, it's not
There's
just.
9 other performing arts.
Exactly.
Okay, if this is acceptable to the committee to move, hang on.
Were we negating last week's vote?
No, hang on. Then I would suggest that the next step be that we get a group of people together to wordsmith the recommendations, because I just wrote these down out of my head, which is dangerous. And we can get more specific on the recommendations. And if we can look at this as in the positive, look at what we've achieved, then I think we can come up with a direction for the board that they were looking for, and we can not hang our heads about it. We can say it was the best job we could do.
Personally, one, we took a motion last week to forward that recommendation from the architect to the board, and that was approved, so that's already done. But that getting deeper into the recommendation, one, I think you're missing the reality of what the architect's vision is. And it's really hard because until we get to the point where we can give her the money, we get down to design stage where she can create has the money and the permission to create a true architectural rendering of what the new building will look like. It's all up to our imagination. But I truly believe that it will be a wow. I truly believe we will not see the current Mountain View in our minds at all anymore after the new one that she's envisioning is created. To be able to have in that space, I mean, I know you're picturing, we're not doing a lipstick on a pig thing with the renovation of the building. We're doing knock out all the walls except for the main supports, main uprights, and expanding, and then building from brand new from the inside out. And then redoing all of the look of the building, and I think it'll be a wow, especially for the money that we're spending to do it, that we can afford to do it. To me, our job as a committee is to give a recommendation to the board, and for the board to then take that next step. And in order for them to get deeper into the recommendations to the architect, they have to do the next steps. They have to approve the site plan. They have to approve the building inspection. All of these things have to be done before any further real details can be worked out. And so I think we need to take the recommendation and go and send it off to the board and be done, because we've done our job.
Yeah, but I would feel more comfortable if we do get a committee to wordsmith this and bring it back. And just so that we've got more agreement. What I'm hearing is that this is not unacceptable to the committee, and if we are in that position, then the next step would be to wordsmith this, and I'll sit down with anybody who can wordsmith and write these so that they're clear to the board and they understand what we're saying about how to improve Mountain View. But again, I take you back to, if we do what we're talking about now, is Mountain View going to be better than we found it? And I think the answer has to be yes.
A resounding yes.
Can we do multiple recommendations?
All right?
Can we do multiple recommendations?
I I think the ones that we have up there, and if you've got other recommendations, then we ought to talk about them now. But the idea of doing this is to get focused on the possibilities of recommendations. Yes, we can recommend whatever we want, doesn't mean they're going to do it, but we can recommend it.
I think we need to just let Marlene do her job. We voted on this last week. Let her do her job so we know what we have to work with once she has finished up her part of the plans. So otherwise, all we're doing is the same thing we've been doing and going on and on and on for months without moving forward, and that's exactly what's going to happen right now, is if we stall this, it's going to keep happening. You need to let Marlene do her job and let the board do their job.
Yeah, and if we do what we're talking about now, we're going to be out of this. It's in the board's hands, and that's where it should be. And we've done the job that we were assigned to do.
Let them do it. Let them do it.
And that's my attitude, and I'm hoping that enough heads are nodding that we can do this and move on. Jean.
Hello. Well, I'm a board member, and I'm sorry, I don't want this decision at the point it's at right now. I want to hear from more members. I'm hoping to hear more from people at the town halls.
Yes.
That is what they were started way back. The original thought was after you finished, or even just at this time of year, we were going to have town halls. The town halls have now morphed into more. They've morphed into talk about the budget, talk about the mission statement, talk about the long-range plan, talk about SAC. Do we base opinions on our utilization numbers? Or do we base opinions on our heartstrings? We don't have any more land. We don't need another center. The county is stifling us on parking. Every time we think we might have a solution, we don't, because a lot of it has to do with parking. Folks, I would like more help. I'm just one of 9.
I hate to break this to you, Jean, but you asked for it. That's the responsibility of the board. They were elected to make these kinds of decisions, and luckily, the board is coming to the membership to get some more advice,
Yes.
which I think is a very good
Yes.
procedure. I'd like to see that followed.
Yeah.
We had meetings before, we didn't call them town halls, I don't care what you call them, but we had them on a fairly regular basis, and the more you educate the members, the more support the members will give you.
That's right.
If you don't tell them information, then they will go on the most famous activity in Sun City, rumors. And they will believe the rumors. They don't care how outlandish it is. I learned a long time ago, public relations, you've got to get at bat first. Because then you establish your side of the argument, and now they have to disprove that. If you let them bat first, you're on the defense instead of the offense. But I'm happy with where we are. If you guys are happy with where we are, then 2 or 3, 4 of you, if you're good at writing, then let's set up a committee, we'll wordsmith it, get it down right, bring it back and make sure we did it right, and then we'll go from there.
So Susan and then Anita, please.
Thank you. That was my number 1 question. Jean brought it up for this meeting, is simply, what are we doing with the town halls? My original belief was that we, as a committee, would turn over a recommendation to the board, and then after they received the recommendation, there would be town hall meetings where they would if they accepted our recommendation, whatever recommendation they were making, they would present to the town hall meetings, and then it would be discussed by everyone. Now it seems like we're doing the town hall meetings before it's going to the board, and are we even presenting anything to the town hall meetings? What are we presenting if we are?
Yeah.
We have the town hall meetings on slides, and the basic setup is going to be, we're going to spend about 20-25 minutes explaining things to the members, because I think you have to assume they have not paid as much attention to this as we have. So what we want to do is educate them on some of the issues that we've been doing, and then after that, open it for people to make whatever comments they want to make, and because it is their meeting. But I think it's to everybody's advantage to give them a little bit of education first, and that's what we're going to do. And we do have slides on the budget, one slide on the budget. We've got the ASU survey results in there, just brief things to let them know what's going on. We've got this committee. The last slide is what we've accomplished, and probably need a few more things on that slide.
Will we be showing the recommendation from Marlene's plan?
No, because if you're going to have only 20-25 minutes, you can't get into that kind of detail. What we want them to know is that we've been working on this for a long time, and we've come up with these recommendations, whatever they are. If this is the direction we're going, then the first town hall, we can change that last slide to say this is a rough outline of what the committee is recommending, so that they are brought up to date on that. But this is a two-part thing. One, you educate the membership so that they understand better that this is a very complicated operation, Sun City. And two, then you hear from them. Maybe they've got some good ideas. We've got a lot of talent out there in the membership. So we're going to give them a chance to talk. But if we take too long explaining things to them, then they have shorter period to make comments. Oh, she's in the back with the microphone.
No, I have a logistics question for the town halls. After all this is presented, is there going to be like an area, if you have SAC questions, you have long-range planning questions, you would go to that area, or is it just raise your hand and say what you want?
We're going to have 3 microphones in the audience,
okay.
Volunteers with them, and we're going to get the suggestion. I don't know where the audience is going to go with this. My only concern will be if everybody wants to talk about the budget, I want to hear some other things. And so I'll say that. We've heard 13 comments from the budget. Now I'd have somebody have a comment on something other than the budget. Because that way, the quiet people get a chance to talk.
How are we collecting the comments?
They're going to be written down. It's going to be videotaped.
Okay. That's something to go back to. Okay, that's all I want.
I think from the start at the town hall meetings, these people have a right to see what plan Marlene has come up with. People are more visual. They can look at it when they can have it on some boards as they walk in. They can take a look at it. People need to see that, and they have a right to see that.
Yeah, that's both a good issue and a problem. Because I can guarantee you, because I've lived long enough, that if they look at that drawing, it becomes cast in iron. They will say, this is what you said you were going to do. No matter how many cautions we give them about this is just a rough drawing and that. I think we can do that at a later date when it's more solidified. But the town hall purpose is to hear from the members. And so the shorter we make our presentation, the more time there is for the members to make their comments. And I think that's the major part of the town halls. At least it has always been that way in the past.
So I'm hearing that we, as a committee, this is a very small part of the town hall, and you're going to be focused on a lot of big things.
It's not a lot. You've got one slide in the budget, you've got the ASU survey, you've got our mission, vision, values, all of these things. And then the last thing is the PAC. And usually the last thing on the program is what the people want to talk about, as opposed to the first thing or the
But
second.
is it the PAC or the Mountain View recommendation?
It's going to be the Mountain View recommendations. That's what we've been working on.
Okay.
The last slide, if I'm not mistaken, was the SAC recommendation.
Yeah, it is.
That's what it's called.
Karen, you want to get something in here?
Yeah, okay, so I think maybe I just want to take us back to March and April when the board made the decision to suspend what we called Mountain View Option 2 and imagine what a procedure could look like going forward. And what we had imagined is that we wanted community input. We wanted people who represent Mountain View and the activities at Mountain View to be involved. But we really thought that we were going to end up with, well, there are multiple options. Here's one option, you can do this. Here's another option, and here's another option. And that this group would be helpful in shaping those. And the expectation then was we thought that was going to be done by September 28th. And then we expected that it was going to be, we might even have models, we would certainly have at least pictures of what the different options would be, we would have some cost projections to go along with them, and we would make it available to the community to come in and to reflect on it. They could put sticky notes up, they could say, I really like this, I really don't like this. That's sort of what we had imagined. And I guess I just want to say, I keep hearing, we voted, it's done. So I was not able to be here physically present last week, but I was remotely participative, and I think I understood that there was a vote. And I guess what I want to say is that if you say we voted, don't be surprised if the board comes back to you and asks you, was it a consensus vote?
Well, it was.
And no, it wasn't a consensus vote. It was 7-6, and the seventh vote that had been listed by proxy was not included. And had it been included, my understanding is it would have been 7-7. So I'm just saying, I like the fact that there's a voting and there's an indication, but a 7-6 vote to the board is going to mean something different than a 14-0 vote. Okay, so the board will ask that question, will want to know, is this truly the consensus of this group where everybody in this group is going to say, yes, I'm on top of this, or is there a minority position that ought to have a chance to be presented? That's what we had hoped for, and I guess I've been a little bit disappointed to see us not moving in that direction. And then the other thing that I just want to say is that I can guarantee you that when you do bring this to the board is not just going to say, well, we decided that we want. The board is going to ask you, what data is that based upon? Okay, so when I look at what we've got going up there right now, I'm not sure that this group is going to be able to answer that. I had the impression that, I don't use the word data-driven, I say we want to be data-informed. And I have the impression that a lot of decisions that have been made here are, Marlene came in and said, well, what do you want? Would you like to have this? It was, yeah, sure, we want to have this, without there being a justification for that. So those of you who were involved at all in the budget presentation at the board meeting yesterday know that we live in a super, super high cost environment right now. So the board is looking very carefully at all these things. We've got inflation, we've got the desire for us not to just, we just need to tighten our belts and not do anything new and different, but just take care of what we have. The board is looking at all of these things and is committed to the idea that we need to continue to be frugal, but we also need to be forward-thinking. And we need to make sure that the decisions that we're making, given that we have limited resources, limited real estate, that we're making the very best decision that's possible. And so just saying that I have the impression that this group has not adequately, to this point, dealt with the data that would help you to say we have made a data-informed decision. It looks, and I know you're not going to like to hear this, but it looks a little bit like this is what we want. Okay? So I'm just saying that maybe you should give some thought to that. How do we respond to that? How do we, how will we answer that question when it comes to us from the board?
Okay.
So I think David's next.
Let me first of all say, I am not disappointed with this committee. I think you've done a yeoman's job. Nobody ever expected this committee to be a committee of experts. We are retired people, we know what we like, and we have spent a lot of time studying this issue. A lot of you have spent individual time doing research on this issue. And I don't know why the board would question it, because the board has been here most of the time. And if they had questions, then they should have brought those questions up at that time.
Exactly.
Now, in order to forestall another objection, can I get a consensus that this is a reasonably accurate summary of what we've done?
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to accept this as, on a consensus basis, to go forward to the board.
Okay, rather than go with the vote, we can go with the vote if you want. I would just rather have, if this is not unacceptable to you and it's something that you can live with, not saying you're 100% happy, would you just raise your hands?
That's the same thing. Excuse me, Norm, before you do that, we do have people who have given their proxy vote today?
Yes, I know.
Okay.
I didn't count it because Jean.
Norm, I assume that means you're going to add that number in there for theater that we...
Yes, we'll put a number in. Yeah, this is not the final, this is just,
We'd like to vote on.
I want to know whether we can go ahead with this before I go ahead with this. Yeah. So how many people can work with this? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sounds like a familiar vote. How many people cannot work with it?
Okay, who has proxies?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, so we need to discuss why we vote each way.
Because they're wanting more than they...
Okay, we got a couple abstains too. A couple people didn't vote.
Should we discuss the reason why we didn't vote? I would like to vote, to explain why I'm voting this way. I'm not voting to accept this as a consensus vote. I guess we don't, well anyway. I'm not doing it excluding alternatives to the simple word increased in various activities. I am one up there, the only one up there that is in the eliminated category. And I want to increase those things that we've set up there. And that doesn't mean that we don't want an indoor pickleball facility, because I think that would be a great thing. An indoor pickleball facility would be one of those things, if we put it on their website and we marketed it, it would be wonderful. It would be a wow. I do think that we need to have the facilities that we have to maintain quickly. Mini golf. That should be part of our recommendation. Get that fixed immediately. Anyway, that's...
My thought on approving this is what, based on the space and the money that we had in Marlene's presentation, this is what we've agreed on. However, pickleball, we agreed on 8 courts, I think, we're at that. Was it 8 courts or 10 courts at
8
Marlene?
plus the 7, I think we...
10. No, I'm just saying, based on Marlene's layout. We agreed on the 8, but we know it needs to be increased.
Yeah.
based on this money we have, we can't do that right now. We would like it to be enclosed, we would like there to be more, but where we are right now is what we're recommending. If the board wants to look at this and say, okay, we understand that pickleball has a huge need and they're gonna find money someplace and they are going to expand it. But this is where we are right now, not where it could end up.
So we had 7 courts at Mountain View, and there's 10 on that last additional court, so that's 17.
No, I'm just saying, how many courts did we have at Mountain View on the last round?
You can't take money away from one project.
17, okay.
To somebody else.
I just okay, so, wasn't it Yogi Berra who said, this feels like deja vu all over again? We ran into the situation when pickleball was being planned for Lakeview that, we've got this space and we're going to put in at least 13, 14 courts on the platform that already existed. Well, it turned out that it was absolutely impossible to do that. You could only fit 6, and so they said, okay, we're going to expand the platform. And look, 16 courts will fit here. Those 16 courts, there were no walkways, there were no sidewalks, there was no court-adjacent seating, there was no place for anybody to sit that was running a club activity, there was no place, there was no hydration station, there was no first aid station, there was nothing. And those 16 courts turned into 13 courts. So, and I'm trying not to say too much, but I feel like I have some information that should be valuable to all of us. The building that Marlene, that she's calling a pickleball structure, a shaded pickleball structure, actually there's another slide that will show what that is, I think. Oh no, that's okay, all right. Okay, so this right here has one 10-foot walkway. So here we go, 1, 2, 3. That's how much space there is going east-west right here, and there's no other space there at all, okay? Where every single court that we currently have has court-adjacent seating with tables and chairs. What she's proposing is a building that's 2/3 the size of Marinette and has the same number of courts where there's no space for people to sit at tables and chairs. If you put a table in here and chairs on the other side, how do people get past that to get to the courts? Okay, so let me just say, what you saw is, and this is what I hear you saying, oh, there are 17 courts there. They were asking for 25. It's pretty close, we're getting to 17. What Marlene has presented is not going to yield 17 courts. And so this is the thing. Well, later on we'll talk about what your circulation needs are and your socialization needs and whatever has to happen. If the building were expandable, that would be fine. There is no place to expand that building, not an inch to the north, not to the east, not to the south, and not to the west. Okay, there's no way to expand it. I can promise you right now that there is no way that you will get 8 pickleball courts inside of that building and have a facility. You'll have 8 courts, but how can you use them? The 2 courts that are at the bottom that were numbers 16 and 17, Norm is an old tennis player. You can't do that. Put the pickleball courts up here and at the other end of the facility put 2. How does that work? If you have a club activity and you say we're running a ladder, how does that work? It's not realistic. So all I'm saying is that if you choose to say, okay, well, let's say it's 7 and 7, there's going to be 14, you have to think, I'm going to get to you, David, in just a minute. You have to think, one of the things the board's going to ask you is that the board is aware of the fact that compared to all of our competitors, we are in absolutely last place in terms of the number of pickleball courts that we have.
We are not.
Yes, we are.
I've researched it, we are not.
Yes, we are. Mr. Lasso, I would be happy to sit down with you and do this. Anyway.
But don't give us information that isn't true.
Well, I'd be happy to have this conversation publicly as well.
This is public right now. I can tell you how that we're not there.
Okay, all right. So the board is going to say, where will we be if we do this at the end? Will we have improved our position relative to the communities that are around us? So
Yes.
But I just, it's important for everybody to understand that what Marlene put up there is just like at Lakeview, it's not going to work.
Before we, give me the mic.
Give me the mic.
I know, Bill. You also don't need a mic. This is why I suggest all the things that you've mentioned. This is why I have put in one of the recommendations that the board work with the people that are affected. The pool people, they work with the pool people. Pickleball, they work with the pickleball people. So these kind of mistakes are caught early and are not done. And that's the only way I know how to resolve this. But my concern now, because we're getting back in the weeds, folks. There's all kinds of bugs and snakes and everything else in the weed. We don't need to be in the weeds. Every pickleball apparently is the sticking point on this. Pickleball is increasing, what did we say, 30% this year?
From January to September was an 80% increase.
No, I'm talking about number of courts.
Oh.
So you're getting a 30% increase. I've been around long enough to know that clubs don't get that big an increase in 1 year. This committee also talked favorably about closing in Marinette if we can get around the damn parking issues. Then you would have an indoor, how many courts you got up there? 8? You'd have 8 indoor courts that you can play all day long regardless of the weather. I've said in these meetings that that shaded area, work the size out so it's feasible, should be the same thing as we have at Marinette. It should be a structure that would later on we can close in, and again you have indoor pickleball courts. There is no reason you can't get more pickleball courts down the line. This isn't the end of it, but if you insist on getting the number and the structure of pickleball courts at Mountain View, then this committee is never going to get to a conclusion. Old saying coming from Detroit, when you get a win, take it.
Exactly, yes.
You're getting a 30% increase. You've already introduced the idea of having indoor closed pickleball courts. I think those are 2 major steps. Now, can we do it right now? No. But it can be done in the future. And if you want to hold up this committee because of that position, be my guest. But that means we're not going to have recommendations to tell the people. This is not cast in iron. It can be adjusted, but you're limited by all the other activities that are there. But I don't want to go through another summer driving down from Prescott because this committee's still trying to make a decision.
That's why I asked for multiple recommendations.
Yes.
I got multiple recommendations.
No, this is
Okay, what would your recommendation be?
Plan B, right?
Plan B, $41 million?
Who said that?
No, there was this, Steve's presentation. Steve Oaks had.
Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't Plan B. Plan B was the one where they're going to knock everything down and take 10 years to do
They're
it.
just calling this a freaking shoot me. You know, we can sit here and argue about this till hell freezes over. This is going to be turned over to the members. We have no idea what the members are going to say. The members may gather together and say, you know, screw this. We don't want pickleball on that end of town at all. And we have no idea. So why are we arguing about this?
Exactly.
Let's just present what we think we came up with. And I don't care if we put Steve's in there as well.
I think that's good.
But just put it out there and let the members decide if this is a good idea. You can bring your 7,000 pickleball players and make it vote, and you can bring all of your performing arts people and let everybody show up and let them fight it out. We've done the best we can do. We're never all going to agree on everything. It's not going to happen. So let's throw it in the membership. And then let the board figure it out. That's what they're
Okay,
there for.
so my experiment did not work. I've been stonewalled, and we are not reaching a conclusion. I just see nothing wrong with those recommendations if we polish them up a little bit. I cannot believe that people object to those recommendations. I really cannot. And that's fine. This is democracy. And as Winston Churchill said, the American people always make the right decision after they've tried every other one going. And this looks like this is what this committee's going to do. I hope everybody's proud, because I've given my best shot to get this committee on a positive road, and it's been shot down. So I know nothing else to do. And force is one method.
Go ahead, Susan, go ahead. Here, go first.
First, I'd like to say that this committee is so fact-based. I'm so tired of hearing over and over again that we are not. We have listened to months after months after months. We have talked to committees. We have had the facts presented to us from usage from the area. We have had presentations on usage around the area. We've had presentations on usage of different things around the country. Just because we are not only taking into account the facts from pickleball does not mean that we're not fact-based. We're taking in the facts from all of the things that people in Sun City enjoy and like to do, and people at Mountain View enjoy and like to do, and trying to put it together a balanced presentation, a balanced plan for Mountain View that gives pickleball an expansion that it needs, but does not use that as an opportunity to remove from others those things that they use and love on a daily basis, and that the future generations will also use and love on a daily basis. So I can't see how many more fact-based we could be after months after months after months of seeing and taking in facts, and then working with Marlene to come up with a balanced presentation. Now, I don't think Steve did a presentation last week, and if the committee wants to vote on that, then that's fine, and we'll have a second thing if the committee agrees to that. But we need to close this out, make the recommendations we want to make to the board, and move on. So.
I agree. I think we have two recommendations. We can do that. The board has two alternatives. I mean, the SAC has two alternatives. One was the costs. You might want to, on your presentation, that four or five group presentation last week done by Steve, to have a little better dollars on it, because I don't know, that also looked, I think we both presentations, some of us were shocked at the prices that came out from the Marlene. I honestly thought they were high, but our presentation here, our recommendation and consensus is really what you, Norm, has presented. These are the activities that we want to keep at Mountain View. We believe that the PAC should use the existing building and renovate it and make it a wow. And within that, I think that's what you guys, in that presentation, the alternative that Steve presented, also accepted that part. So we've got two recommendations. One, both of them renovating the PAC. The one having indoor pickleball, and the other one establishing a structure. Maybe it won't be as many courts, but again, I don't think that the Marlene's presentation and the view that we looked at is a thing set in stone. It's not. It's an idea. These are the things that looks like they can fit. Now, there are some ideas of how you get more pickleball courts in that existing space rather than giving up the courts. I mean, there are ways of doing that.
All right, let's I have trouble dealing with this. Let's cut to the chase. Pickleball players, what do you want?
Everything.
Just want to look at what other community, let's.
No, I don't.
Let's get rid of the word pickleball. There's a very.
Well, we can't. It's the elephant in the room. We can't get rid of it.
Well, it's an act.
What do you want to get a positive vote for recommendation? Tell me what you want.
45 courts.
And do we have $1 million ferry somewhere too?
Why you guys laugh? You just asked a question.
But it has to be a
Do
realistic answer.
you really think we have the money and the facilities to put 45 courts down the mountain?
No,
That's not my problem.
Well, not.
45 total, not 45 at the mountain.
And my question stands. Can you accomplish that down at Mountain View?
Yes.
How do you do it?
Well, they're eliminating. You put the pack at the Lakeview.
That is an issue that has been decided, that the pack stays there. So now what are you going to do to get your 45 courts?
You've lost the point long ago.
No, I didn't lose the point.
You lost the point.
I didn't lose the point. I want to know what it would take to get you on board so we can have a recommendation come out of this committee.
You can eliminate the lawn bowling at the Marin.
Oh, no. The world-class
First,
lawn
do no
bowling
harm.
Sacrifice of other clubs.
Right now, Marlene has, in her plan, she's going to build 8 pickleball courts for $3 million. That's 375 grand, excuse me, per court.
Is the cost.
For 8 courts at the pickleball club will be of absolutely no value or use to them.
So again, I ask, how are you going to do that down? That's your solution, is to eliminate lawn bowling?
One solution, you need real.
Well, no, really, what I'm hearing, your solution is you eliminate pack and you eliminate lawn bowling so that you can get pickleball. Am I wrong?
Where do you move it to?
Yes, not eliminate, move.
Move, where?
The pack to the Lakeview.
We've proven we can't do that because it's building from the ground up.
We don't have the money to do
Way more
that.
expensive than the money we have.
Oh my
But we
God.
actually don't know that. We decided not to ask.
I can pretty much tell you that a new building's going to cost more than a remodel.
Yeah, a lot.
There's plenty of room to put all that
This
in
entire
Lakeview,
project.
where the tennis courts are at Lakeview and where the shed is for maintenance. There's a ton of room there to put all your courts in and be covered in air conditioned and heated.
So what I'm hearing is your solution is not a solution. Unless we do damage to other activities. And to me, do no harm. You are getting more space. You are probably going to get some closed-in buildings in the future.
More than anybody else.
Nobody gets everything right away. But you guys are willing to sacrifice any accomplishments in this committee for that position. That's what I'm hearing.
Here, right here.
And I'm not hearing any opposition or any logic against it, so maybe we should report to the board that because of a group that would not compromise, that we could reach no recommendation.
Nora, we're relying on data, I think, a little too hard. There are benefits we can't measure.
Yeah.
There is no data for that. What is the benefit of having mini golf? There is a benefit to that. There's a benefit to people that live in that area or live in Sun City to bring their families to bring your kids to when they visit. That is a value.
Absolutely.
I tried for 20 minutes to get people to look at the big picture and not be focused on their own activity. And obviously I'm a miserable failure because that is not what's happened.
Thank you for your presentation, first of all, Norm. I know you worked hard on it and it was very good. But I cannot believe that an entire project can be stopped because of one club. One club is stopping this entire project And that is not right on any level, that one club has that much power to totally stop a project.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done. We're exactly the same spot as we were before. I see no resolution. We've got people that are just locked in a position, not listening to anything. They believe we're not listening. That's a stalemate by anybody's definition. And you don't make progress with a stalemate.
Yeah, this is a worst outcome of this committee. If we don't do something here, we need to let our best selves come forward here and recognize that we're working together, and we've worked together, or tried to work together as the committee, and there has been, it is the elephant in the room, and it's been an elephant not only in this room, but in board meetings and exchange meetings and so forth. We don't want to, in my mind, I certainly don't want to be, to degrade down to warfare, and that's what kind of feels like. Data-driven is one thing. Data-informed is another. And we all know that data, if it's not interpreted properly, gives wrong results. So we got to be careful. And some of the data that we've gathered and presented in meetings, we've acknowledged hasn't always been right. So I put, you always have to take statistics in any polling you get, anywhere you see it, with a grain of salt. So data informed. So, Norm, I am with you. I think that pickleball is a great sport. I've played it a couple of times. I considered joining the club, but I haven't done so yet. I think there are problems that are surfacing in the nation with pickleball as well. I mean, there are the other side of pickleball, the issues of the sound, some facilities, I can't remember where, somewhere in Colorado, but so we have a proposal here where it says we are taking away the tennis courts. That gives 7, 6, whatever number that is when you get all of the space that you want. And I think you can put some of the parking right there on that end. And then use the non-existing or non-functioning solar panels to extend the parking on the other side. So we have parking extended over there. We include a few more spaces for pickleball courts right there where the pickleballs are. The 2 courts that were presented in Marlene's plan was just a kind of a stick them somewhere. It really wasn't realistic.
I wouldn't get rid of those. No. Why can't somebody go there and play?
Well,
During tournaments, why couldn't regular people play there during tournaments?
That is a good point, and that argues to the point that Norm was saying earlier. To have pickleball in several recreation centers, and that's what I proposed many, many weeks ago. We have more elsewhere so that families like me who don't, come to play in pickleball tournaments, we have a pickleball court nearby. So those 2 could be reserved for those kinds of things.
So I see no solution to this as long as the pickleball people are going to vote as a block. I see no good.
It's a little overstatement. We have 2 recommendations. We got one we voted on.
Okay.
Why can't we make the 2 recommendations?
So we can vote on.
I just asked what's your recommendation, and you told me it's to move the theater and eliminate
You asked me
Humboldt.
what my pipe dream would be.
Well, no, I didn't ask you for your pipe dream. I asked you for a solution. That's what you gave me.
Okay, we
Now,
got
if you want
2
to change it, give me your recommendation.
We got 2 recommendations. Let's go
What
to
other
2.
Give me your recommendation.
It was Steve's recommendation.
Steve?
Steve.
I don't even remember.
I think there's a slide supposed to be added.
But that's moving the piece to Lakeview.
No. Steve's presentation, he altered it, and it was to retain the pack at Mountain.
Plan B, that one.
And it was to have a indoor
Now
pickleball
go
court.
down, it's the picture.
There it is, here it is.
Is that it?
That's it.
One more thing that happened at this very room here that's being overlooked. Chris Herring got up and was giving numbers on very things, and he said the pickleball courts we have now are being underutilized.
And they are.
Do you all remember that?
They're empty in the afternoon.
So now, something that's underutilized, we're going to triple and double and quadruple. Doesn't make any sense to me.
Because everybody wants to play at the same time.
Well, but they're underutilized during the summer, so that's not quite fair either.
No, that's not true.
What did Steve's solution eliminate?
A lot of stuff. The second pool, a lot of stuff was taken out of there.
Oh, because of the costs. Because his costs.
Well, his costs are like double what we have available, just for what he has. And he eliminated, I think, 3 different things that we currently have in the plan that
He wanted to enlarge the fitness center and put the courts in.
And again, this is another alternative, and it doesn't mean that it's going to be just that way. So, so his fitness center is bigger than.
That's not a good alternative.
Can anyone look at that and see from his, that's too far away from him.
It's a total of $45 million.
Does it say anything about TAC theaters?
Opposed to 27.
No, he doesn't have the PAC
No,
on
actually,
budget
it
in
doesn't
there.
have back in there.
The PAC is not on budget in there. It's $45 million before you add in a PAC.
18.
18, 35, 25, 20. Yeah, he's got the like 27 or 28 million there, but that does not include the PAC. It doesn't include a rehab of the current pool. It doesn't include the brand new pool.
The spa.
The spa doesn't include the spa. So he's removed a lot of what we're currently able to pay for in Marlene's plan. And
Which we approved.
and does not have the PAC in there at all, budget-wise. And he's using 100% of the budget that we currently have available to do those limited things. Basically, a larger fitness center and pickleball courts.
Can you open it up, people?
May I speak, please? Thank you.
Well, the committee's keeping me busy.
Well, we're down to-
What did you want?
We can have 2, can't we?
You can present that and it's unreasonable.
Norm, are you under the impression that you as a committee needs to only bring,
Okay, well,
No.
excuse me, one presentation forward for the townhouse?
No, I've said from the beginning that we can make as many recommendations as we want. There was no limit put on this.
So what are we arguing about?
Well, we were trying to get a decision from the pickleball people as to what they would accept, because they would not accept.
This is what I believe they voted on. Is that correct?
No.
No, we voted on the last.
Whoa.
We haven't voted on that. That's what they want. All right, we're just saying.
Whoa. This is what it was tied today.
No.
we have not voted on this at all, ever.
Yeah. So Norm, how about if we vote on both and members can vote multiple times, they can vote on one of them, they can vote on both of them, or they can vote on none of them, whatever they want. But let's vote on both of the potential things and see where we go.
That's not complete.
Is this thing acceptable to you?
Yes.
Just as a recommendation, but I think it's an invalid recommendation.
The question is then, how many of us remember what's in there, because half of it's covered with writing into it.
It's not even complete.
All right.
I think we could recommend that both go and be part of
of the town hall discussion. I can't recommend that because I can't see half of it.
Minimize, yes.
There's another slide.
No.
There's another slide with the printed.
Now bring up
That's
hers.
basically eliminating everything.
This
All right, we're going back into
Yes, and then give me
the darkness.
This is the big one up here.
I think what we need to do is to get a clear drawing of that thing so that each of us can look at it. Karen, can you have that sent out to the committee members? Steve Oak's
There's a
drawing.
slide above the one you have.
I don't think I have it,
Oh, no, but
Yeah.
if it's been presented, I think IT has it. But we just don't know.
It's the one above it.
So, I think the only way out of this thing now, other than fisticuffs,
Wait, we're trying to get the other
blue.
The other
Blue up on the
Get the
left.
blue.
Up in the right, you've got it up on the screen, you just got to get it enlarged.
no, that, you got paper cut.
He wants the one above it.
Number one.
Number one.
Number one.
Click on one.
Okay.
Now blow that out.
Oh,
That's the first half of the presentation.
Yeah.
okay. You wanted
Those
to-
are the that stayed away.
Did somebody just read it for us or whatever?
Theater auditorium stays, improved seats, pool stays, spa upgrades, mini golf, all of that stays. So what you see is in addition to, which comes out to about an additional 45,000 square feet, you have no parking. We had that discussion, and unfortunately, it doesn't fit.
Well, you're going beyond the money.
But so he put in 27 million for the few things.
On top of that.
It's on top of what we currently.
So we're at about
the 27
$45 million
We currently
because you had to back some stuff out. Again, I did the math, we
I'm
talked
going to yell
about
if he's
it.
going to yell, and I don't want to yell.
It don't work. So it came down to 45 million with his plan?
Roughly 40 to 45, it depends on what you back out.
See, that's what I mean about we're going back in the darkness.
That's not helping.
Let's hear from the,
Oh my God, I've been shot. I have notes, but I'm in shock.
No.
Number one,
No.
wow factor.
No.
I trust Marlene, as you said, I trust Marlene on the wow factor. It's gonna look cool from our
gonna be
point of view
gorgeous.
as players. But I also make sure there's fair bidding for the architect after all is said and done. Because this whole choosing Marlene indirectly really bothers me as a Democrat,
That is
small
true.
d.
Right.
10,000 or more usage with new facility. That's, what that means is the new Performing Arts Center will have 10,000 plus people using that facility and being entertained at that facility. Number one, the comment of it'll take up half the budget. How many theaters do we have? How many performing arts centers do we have? One. Barely. So we're talking, this is at one facility. You got lawn bowling everywhere, you got golf everywhere, you got golf, mini golf, all these other things, you can go everywhere else and do it. So yeah, Mountain View is a specialty place for the performing arts, always has been. I want to try to relieve pressure from the footprint. We have a big steel shed that is, think in phase 3. I'm assuming that's going to stay. If we could have that insulated and air conditioned, we could use that and take a lot of pressure off the footprint for building sets, for storing sets and storing props. That's a big deal. That's 10 feet on one side of the building and 10 feet on the other.
I'm sorry. I thought you were, no, I thought you were talking.
See if there's anybody else that wants to speak.
Yes, Ken, please.
Okay, I've heard several times today that we have to make a decision that we can send to the board. Okay, we're not at that point, ladies and gentlemen. This group has made some conversations and some recommendations, and we're about to go into a phase where we're going to share this with the remaining members of the community in some town halls. You'll have to go through that entire process, and then, after what you learn during that process, you may want to give consideration to some ideas that may appear during that process. So we're very far away today from having to make a specific decision about what we're going to send to the board. You're not sending anything to the board today. So you have some time to hear what the members of the community have to say and to give some consideration to that. And you've been kind of split half and half the last 2 weeks. So it seems only reasonable to let both alternatives, because this is the Strategic Alternatives Committee, to let both alternatives be known. How the members will react to that is how the members will react to that, and you can take it from there.
I have no skin in the game, none. But I've sat here through most of the meetings. I have one interest, and that Sun City be as good as it can be. For 20 years, that's the only thing. And so I'm fascinated by the process, I'm impressed by the process, and I'm also disappointed by the process. Because as I sit here, I listen to the various opinions, I understand where they're coming from. I would ask the first question of the lawn, I'll get to the lawn mowers because I am one, but let me go to the pickleball players, because what I'm hearing is we want 45 courts, but on the other side I'm hearing, no, we want enclosed courts. Two different issues, and if you can't figure that out, we're really screwed. Because if you want indoor courts, we know Marinette is 30,000 square feet, equates to 150 more parking spaces. We don't have them at Mountain View. There's only one way indoor pickleball courts fit at Mountain View, and that's if you, excuse my French, shit can the pack. And I don't support that, because I thought we agreed that we weren't going to take stuff away from people.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay, that said, if the goal is to have a total of 45 pickleball courts, and Norma's going to probably steal the microphone from me. I've said it in private, I'll say it in public. We know that the fairway lawn bowling green was supposed to be recarpeted 3 years ago to the tune of $400,000 to $500,000. It's gotten worse. And guess what? Most of the lawn bowlers in this community don't like it because it's artificial. So if you want to take Mountain View's court, then you got to spend $300,000, $400,000, pick a number, replace it with fairway. If you put in grass, I don't care. But it's like the tennis courts. If you move them to Lakeview, you get 3 courts out of it, you're happy, aren't you? You got a second venue. We used to have 1,400 lawn bowlers in this community. We now have 350 or 400. That's it. So realistically, and I beg you, be realistic in what you're asking for. I know Tom and Bill will talk about a 600-person theater. If you get 350 and it's comfortable and ADA compliant and you get more storage space, thank you God. We need it.
I'll take it.
That's where we're at. I understand that, but we're butting heads. If really what the pickleball players want is that additional 20 courts or 25 courts down there, and you can get them in with covers, the covered works because what? You don't have to get parking spaces for them. At some point, you just got to be honest with each other about what you want, what can fit, and how you accommodate others. And I know Norm cringes when I say, oh, give up Mountain View, because the people at Mountain View love it. But it's the same argument on the walking track that they wanted to put in option 2. The other one's 3/4 of a mile away. There's always solutions, except we close our minds to being realistic. God, Paul and Steve's presentation was great. It doesn't fit. Once you enclosed 15 courts, it doesn't fit. Now it's 45,000 square feet or 48,000 square feet. It doesn't fit, and we can't afford it. So come back to earth. You've done an enormous amount of work. You've gotten some possible solutions. God love Norm for trying to cling to lawn bowling. But realistically, if it moved down to fairway and you put an artificial green in there, they'd go down there. That's a nice building. So it's all doable, but you got to be willing to compromise, and I mean everybody, and then put what fits in there and what we can afford.
Are there any other guests that want to speak?
Let the record show I didn't take the mic from him.
Right here, please.
Let the record show you didn't dare.
Yeah, I did a presentation a while back for the group here, and I want to thank everybody on this committee for, I mean, man, oh man, what a situation. There seems to be consensus here to me. I mean, I'm sitting here going, there is absolute consensus here. Let's present 2 alternatives. Strategic Alternatives Committee. What's wrong with presenting 2? My understanding originally, that was the deal. Present those, and then, as has been stated, let's hear from the other members. Let's hear what they have to say about it. They may shoot one of them down, one of the recommendations. And, well,
Let's not mention
right. But anyway, to me, there is absolute consensus with presenting 2. And then if there are some bugs that need to be worked out, then they need to be worked out. Anyway, thank you.
Is there anyone else that wants to say anything?
Back right there.
2 people over there?
Back line.
There's a guy right there. But there's no sense in presenting 2 if one of them won't work.
Yeah, exactly.
While I appreciate all the time you put in your presentation, please don't forget the town meetings.
No, it is.
The sort of information you need to bring to the town meetings is something that people can look at and visualize. And that's like the presentation that Marlene did. It's like Steve's presentation, but there needs to be a little bit more polished, and all of the costs need to be on it so people can say, I've got this, and all the things are right in front of me. That's what people need to see so they can get an idea of what they can ask you questions on. If you're just going to say we want more, and more, none of this, and maybe some of that, they're going to go, they got nothing to ask questions from.
Visualize it.
So, yeah, I got the idea. I think it's a good idea to bring both presentations forward, but the second one needs to be a little bit more professionally presented and has to have all the costs there so that people can see exactly what they're looking at and they can ask questions from.
I've been here for every single meeting. And most of you don't know this. I spent $1 billion of your money every day for 6 years when I built Kings Bay Naval Submarine Base. So I understand money. But I'm with the double presentation. When I'm with you, we absolutely need to present how much they cost. And we also need to present how much money we have. It doesn't mean anything to present something that's making worth $47 million when we have less than half of that. So just to present something and say, would you like to have the Taj Mahal with caviar served every day, when we don't have money for Taj Mahal with caviar served every day, is a totally fruitless, time-wasting endeavor.
Exactly.
I'm a corporate executive, and this was presented, and everyone knew if you presented this to me, I would call HR and corporate counsel and general counsel and have you fired on the spot.
Well said.
What's your opinion? This is better than treaty.
Is this on or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
am an avid pickleball player, but I'm going to say something that's going to offend pickleball club members.
Join the club.
I think there hasn't been enough discussion about enclosing or covering existing courts. That is a big issue. People don't use the courts in the afternoon because it's too hot. They don't use it in the summer because it's too hot. We have existing courts that are not covered, that are not enclosed. We should be looking at doing one or both of those, covering them or enclosing them, rather than building entirely new indoor pickleball courts. That makes no sense whatsoever to me. Even though I play pickleball and I enjoy playing it, I don't think we should be trying to create a resort facility that's going to attract national tournaments. That's not necessarily in the interest of the residents of Sun City. Exactly. I'm sorry to say that many of the pickleball players do not agree with that.
Exactly.
Behind me.
Hi, I'm Connie. With regards to the drawings that Marlene said, and those of you that have done plans, you understand this. She would have what are called charrettes. She would have end users get together and determine stuff. If that means that that lawn bowling area, after they have a couple of charrettes, could go so that pickleball could expand that way as a future, as a addendum or whatever, that's a possibility. But the drawings that she presented and the drawings that Phase 2, Plan B, whatever, they're eyewash. All they are is an idea of what can be done. And people need to understand that. You can put it up there, but it's like throwing a spitball on the wall. All it is giving you a really rough idea with everything else to be figured out later. So don't try to figure it out now, because that's what her job is to herd the cats, to get the charrettes, to narrow it down and figure it out. The people of Sun City deserve that.
Let Marlene do her job.
Are we done?
I have just one question.
I invite everybody on your way home to drive by Mountain View and see how many pickleball courts are in use.
And might be just a Ridgeway.
Just circling back to earlier presentations we've had. We had a presentation about lawn bowling stating that lawn bowling does have national competitions here, and that if we have less lawn bowling courts available, that would knock us off our current availability for those types of things. That's what the presentation said, was that we needed to have what we currently have available, and that's why we haven't touched lawn bowling, in my mind, because that's what the presentation said, is that if we have fewer lawn bowling availability, lawn bowling courts available, then things that we already are nationally known for, we would lose. So that needs to be decided one way or the other. Is that a truth? Can we lose the lawn bowling at Mountain View and it wouldn't affect anything? We need to know that in order to make even a judgment in that direction.
Not now.
Not right now, no. I'm just saying in future, that's got to be.
I move that we adjourn.
I don't see any sort of resolution today.
No, you're right.
If I'm wrong, let me know. Because I will stick around.
Same old.
And if we can't resolve it today, then what I would suggest, another meeting, is that we get a clear drawing that Steve presented, that you can see the whole thing, so that we can understand what's included, what's not. And if you want another drawing that Marlene had up, understanding that we are not recommending that either one be the exact thing that's on the drawing. I have little confidence that we're going to reach a conclusion following that path, but I don't see any other path to go with other than abandon the committee with no results, which would be a shame. So, 2 more comments and then I think we'll just wrap it up.
I think we just need to let Marlene do her job. I mean, that was just a start. And I'm sure she can do more with that, but let her do her job. Give her a chance to do it. You know, by not letting her move forward, it's just not right.
Right now.
If I could just.
No.
I won't turn it off.
Just so that we are aware, Marlene's scope of work is completed. So we have no further expectations from her. She's not continuing to work. She's not producing anything else. She's what she contracted to do with us, she has done, and she's finished. Okay, so just want to make sure that we're all clear about that.
We're just saying it has to go to the next step where it goes to an architect and we get to the point where we have a rendering where people can actually see visually what they would want to have. So whoever the architect.
Do we need to change the town hall meetings?
We can't do that.
Town hall meeting can be separate entirely. The only thing we will not have is a recommendation from this committee.
Okay, well, but that's,
Well,
could we still could probably squeak in a recommendation if we get on the ball and get Steve's part done. But regardless, if lawn bowling disappeared today and you said, take it out today, we don't have the money to put pickleball in there. That's a future thing. But when we go home now today, I want us to remember, you gave up tennis. Theater gave up a fly. Theater gave up a 600-seat theater.
We gave up auditorium.
They gave up auditorium space. Basketball players lost their building. We gave up a rotunda that was really important to security. We found a smaller way to handle security. No one is going to be 100% happy. The world doesn't work that way. Pickleball needs space. I understand it. I'm not saying you should have it, but you can't have it today. We talked to Marlene. I asked her personally, could those courts be enclosed someday? She said, absolutely. Maybe that happens 3 or 4 years from now, but it can't happen today. Somehow we've got to come up with something that we can take to our members, our people that live here, and say, this is what we've come up with, what do you think? And if we take Steve's drawing, there's no problem taking Steve's drawing, but we have to be honest about that drawing. We have to say, it says theater auditorium stays with improved seats. We need to make sure that's in big letters so they know what the auditorium is going to look like. You had on your estimated cost $3 million for the theater. $3 million isn't going very far to fix that building. I don't even know if we could get the plumbing and the electricity to work right in that building for $3 million. The pool stays, mini golf stays, and lawn bowling stays. We need to be clear on what that means. We can't just say the theater is staying there and you're all going to be happy to go to the theater when it's going to be what it is now.
Or worse.
30 seconds.
Yeah, so, no, I'm going to claim my right as the chair of this meeting to finish this off. 2 things, and it's not an argument about what's going to happen here. So one is that I think tonight is opening night for the theater presentation. Would you like to tell everybody?
mic back on.
Well, tonight it is opening night for Ripcord. There's 7 people in the cast, 2 women, and they are at odds with each other because they share the same room. One wants the other one out, and the other one wants the bed by the
Sounds like
window.
this committee.
Yeah, so it's a comedy,
It's a
but it has very ripe adult language.
Do you still have tickets available for
Oh,
tonight?
absolutely.
For tonight?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Tickets at the door?
Okay,
Yeah,
so,
tickets at the
right,
door.
all right.
Door opens at 6:30.
Okay, good, and, yeah. And I think, and also, so we will convene another meeting next week on Friday. I want you all to know that it is also the first Friday at Grand, I think, if I got the name of that correct.
Yes.
So that means that from 4 o'clock until 6 o'clock, the entire facility is open, and I think there might even be some refreshments and so forth. It's an attempt to make this facility a little bit more well-known. So if you plan to come to the meeting from 2 until whatever, start from 4 until 6, there is this event that's taking place, and you might like to take that into consideration when you make your plans. So, without further ado.
Can I say something? How about if we bring a few flip charts to the town halls with some markers and tell members to go for it? All the members.
Let's ask her for trouble.
5,000 ideas.
Well, you never know, there might be a winner. Go ahead.
Okay, so please remember to turn your devices back on, and this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a copywritten production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.